Hello everyone. Thank you all for watching the video and leaving such heartfelt comments. Wishing the whole family good health and peace. The field's a vast expanse, his employee waiting, collaboration his goal. They discussed upcoming projects, a serious exchange, their voices steady, planning their bond. James pointed to a plot, a fresh idea, his tone firm, guidance his strength. The employee nodded, a clear understanding, his notebook open, dedication his drive. They reviewed the plans, a thorough dialogue, their hands gesturing, ambition their guide. James thought of Diep, a fond distraction, her smile clear, warmth his light. The employee shared concerns, a careful observation, his words precise, commitment his trait. James listened attentively, a thoughtful response, his mind sharp, confidence his foundation. They finalized the discussion, a goal achieved, their steps aligned, partnership their anchor. Meanwhile, Diep worked in her yard, a busy task, her hands in soil, care her priority. She prepared pots for planting, a meticulous craft, her fingers steady, passion her joy. She hung them on a sturdy tree, a clever arrangement, her movements precise, ingenuity her spark. The pots swayed gently, a pleasing sight, her heart full, satisfaction her reward. Diep wiped her brow, a short break, her hands stained, hard work her mark. She grabbed a broom, a new chore, her steps swift, diligence her habit. She swept the yard, a consistent rhythm, her focus keen, tidiness her aim. The dust gathered, a small heap, her hands firm, determination her drive. She lit a fire to burn the debris, a cautious step, her eyes vigilant, safety her priority. The flames crackled softly, a controlled blaze, her task done, fulfillment her feeling. A neighbor waved from afar, a friendly gesture, his voice cheerful, kindness his tone. Diep smiled back, a warm reply, her heart light, connection her joy. She thought of James, a tender thought, his support evident, affection her warmth. The yard felt alive, a cherished space, her spirit high, effort her strength. She adjusted the pots, a final tweak, her hands careful, attention her bond. Diep spotted a child watching, a curious gaze, his eyes wide, innocence his charm. She waved him over, a gentle invitation, her voice soft, hospitality her intent. The child helped her sweep, a playful act, his laughter bright, happiness his gift. Diep handed him a small pot, a thoughtful gesture, her smile wide, generosity her trait. They worked together, a shared moment, their hands busy, camaraderie their tie. She thought of her own childhood, a fond memory, her heart warm, nostalgia her light. The yard buzzed with life, a joyful scene, her spirit lifted, love her guide. She prepared to leave, a new task ahead, her steps steady, purpose her focus. Diep finished her chores, a job well done, her hands dusty, effort her pride. A shipper's truck pulled up, a sudden arrival, its engine loud, delivery his purpose. The driver stepped out, a friendly face, his voice clear, responsibility his focus. For you, he said, a quick handover, his hands lifting, care his intent. Diep signed the receipt, a swift exchange, her eyes curious, excitement her spark. She opened the box, a careful reveal, her hands gentle, anticipation her feeling. Inside were dozens of ducklings, a delightful sight, their chirp soft, joy her reward. Diep's face lit up, a wide smile, her heart racing, happiness her warmth. She lifted one duckling, a tender touch, its feathers fluffy, affection her care. The others waddled, a lively bunch, their energy high, charm their gift. She gathered materials, a quick plan, her hands busy, creativity her guide. She built a small coop, a cozy shelter, her hammer steady, dedication her strength. The ducklings settled in, a safe haven, their chirps quieter, comfort their state. Diep sprinkled feed, a thoughtful act, her hands careful, attention her focus. She watched them eat, a satisfying sight, her heart full, satisfaction her reward. A rival farmer drove by, a hidden threat, his eyes cold, envy his motive. He noted the ducklings, a sly thought, his mind plotting, malice his intent. Diep remained unaware, a blissful ignorance, her focus on the coop, love her shield. She adjusted the coop's roof, a final tweak, her hands steady, diligence her trait. The yard felt alive, a new beginning, her spirit high, effort her joy. She thought of James, a warm thought, his support evident, affection her light. The shipper waved goodbye, a friendly farewell, his truck starting duty his drive. Diep waved back a grateful gesture, her smile bright, connection her bond. She checked the ducklings, a careful glance, her eyes sharp, care her priority. The day unfolded, a busy pace, her heart steady, love her anchor. A small duckling wandered off, a curious escape, its steps wobbly, adventure its aim. Diep rushed to catch it, a gentle scoop, her hands soft, protection her intent. She placed it back, a careful move, her voice soothing, reassurance her tone. She added a small fence, a practical fix, her hands swift, safety her goal. The ducklings huddled together, a cozy group, their chirps happy, comfort their state. Diep thought of her childhood pets, a fond memory, her heart warm, nostalgia her light. She took a photo, a cherished keepsake, her smile wide, joy her gift. The yard glowed with life, a peaceful scene, her spirit lifted, love her guide. Diep prepared to leave, a new task, her bag ready, determination her drive. She locked the coop, a cautious move, her hands steady, safety her concern. The ducklings chirped softly, a gentle sound, their presence comforting, happiness her reward. She grabbed her market list, a careful plan, her mind focused, responsibility her focus. She stepped onto the road, a determined pace, her steps firm, effort her strength. She walked toward the market, a familiar route, her thoughts drifting, reflection her state. A hospital came into view, a sudden sight, its doors busy, life its pulse. Diep spotted an employee of James, a familiar face, his expression heavy, sorrow his burden. She approached him, a kind gesture, her voice soft, concern her tone. "What's wrong?" she asked, a gentle question, her eyes searching, care her intent. The employee sighed, a heavy breath, his voice low, sadness his weight. "My mother's in the hospital," he said, a painful truth, his eyes teary, grief his shadow. Diep's heart sank, a deep sorrow, her eyes welling, empathy her response. She placed a hand on his arm, a comforting touch, her voice soft, support her strength. They stood in silence, a shared moment, their hearts heavy, connection their bond. A nurse passed by, a quick glance, her clipboard full, duty her focus. Diep thought of her own family, a tender memory, her heart aching, nostalgia her warmth. The employee wiped his eyes, a brave attempt, his voice steady, resilience his trait. They decided to talk more, a needed step, their steps align, purpose their drive. The hospital faded behind, a past scene, their journey continuing, support their anchor. A street vendor called out, a cheerful shout, his voice loud, friendliness his tone. Diep smiled faintly, a polite nod, her mind elsewhere, sorrow her weight. The employee pointed to a cafe, a quiet suggestion, his tone soft, comfort his aim. Diep agreed, a slow nod, her heart heavy, understanding her response. They crossed the street, a careful move, their steps slow, unity their bond. A child on a bike waved, a playful gesture, his laughter bright, innocence his charm. Diep waved back, a small distraction, her heart lifting, kindness her light. The cafe loomed ahead, a cozy retreat, their conversation pending, support their guide. Diep and the employee entered a cafe, a cozy space, their steps slow, comfort their goal. They sat at a table, a quiet corner, their voices low, sharing their bond. The employee spoke of his mother's illness, a heavy burden, his words careful, grief his weight. Diep listened closely, a supportive ear, her eyes teary, empathy her response. She shared her own stories, a tender exchange, her voice soft, connection her strength. The cafe buzzed softly, a gentle hum, its warmth soothing, peace their state. Diep thought of James, a fond thought, his support evident, affection her light. The employee sipped his coffee, a brief pause, his hands steady, reflection his focus. "She's been sick for months," he said, a painful truth, his tone low, sadness his shadow. Diep nodded, a quiet understanding, her heart heavy, care her intent. James walked in, a sudden arrival, his eyes searching, concern his drive. He saw Diep crying, a heartbreaking sight, his heart racing, worry his burden. He rushed to her side, a swift move, his arms open, comfort his focus. He hugged her tightly, a tender embrace, his voice soft, reassurance his tone. "It's okay," he whispered, a gentle promise, his hand on hers, love his strength. Diep leaned into him, a comforting touch, her tears slowing, gratitude her response. The employee watched them, a faint smile, his heart lighter, hope his spark. James sat beside Diep, a protective presence, his eyes sharp, care his focus. The cafe felt warm, a safe haven, their bond deepening support their anchor. They ordered more coffee, a shared moment, their voices soft, connection their joy. A rival spy sat nearby, a hidden observer, his phone buzzing, secrecy his mask. He sent a message, a sly report, his intent dark, sabotage his goal. Diep and James remained unaware, a blissful ignorance, their focus on each other, love their shield. The employee shared a photo, a cherished memory, his mother smiling, nostalgia his warmth. The cafe held their emotions, a shared space, their hearts aligned, unity their strength. A waiter brought their drinks, a polite gesture, his smile kind, service his role. Diep thanked him, a soft reply, her voice gentle, courtesy her habit. James thought of the hospital, a lingering concern, his mind alert, responsibility his trait. The employee shared a hopeful update, a small relief, his tone brighter, optimism his light. They clinked their cups, a quiet toast, their hands steady, solidarity their bond. Diep thought of the ducklings, a tender thought, her heart lifting, happiness her spark. The cafe's warmth enveloped them, a cozy retreat, their conversation flowing, support their guide. James squeezed Diep's hand, a reassuring gesture, his eyes warm, love his anchor. James stood up, a decisive move, his voice firm, duty his focus. "I'll talk to him," he said, a kind offer, his step steady, leadership his strength. Diep nodded, a grateful gesture, her eyes teary, trust her response. James walked to the employee, a private chat, their voices low, support their bond. He listened to the employee's fears, a patient ear, his tone soft, care his intent. The employee spoke of medical bills, a heavy burden, his voice shaky, worry his weight. James placed a hand on his shoulder, a reassuring touch, his words firm, promise his guide. "We'll cover the costs," he said, a generous act, his eyes steady, kindness his warmth. The employee's eyes widened, a stunned relief, his voice soft, gratitude his response. They shook hands, a sealed agreement, their trust firm, connection their strength. James returned to Diep, a quick return, his smile warm, affection his light. "Let's go home," he said, a gentle suggestion, his hand extended, care his focus. Diep stood up, a slow movement, her heart lighter, relief her feeling. They left the cafe, a united pair, their steps aligned, love their anchor. The employee waved goodbye, a thankful gesture, his spirit lifted, hope his spark. They climbed into James' car, a cozy space, their hands touching, connection their joy. James started the engine, a smooth start, his focus on the road, responsibility his drive. Diep thought of the ducklings, a tender memory, her heart full, happiness her warmth. The car hummed softly, a steady ride, their conversation light, support their bond. The cafe faded behind, a past scene, their journey homeward, love their guide. A hospital report sat in James' pocket, a hidden truth, its words heavy, concern his burden. He glanced at Diep, a protective gaze, his mind racing, secrecy his choice. Diep remained unaware, a blissful ignorance, her focus on James, trust her strength. They shared a quiet moment, a brief pause, their eyes meeting, affection their light. The road stretched ahead, a clear path, their day unfolding, partnership their joy. A radio played softly, a soothing tune, its melody calming, peace their state. Diep adjusted her scarf, a small gesture, her hands gentle, comfort her aim. James thought of the rival, a lingering threat, his mind alert, vigilance his trait. They passed a market stall, a familiar sight, its colors bright, life its pulse. Diep pointed to it, a playful suggestion, her voice soft, curiosity her spark. James smiled, a warm reply, his tone gentle, agreement his tone. The car moved forward, a steady pace, their journey smooth, love their guide. They shared a laugh, a shared moment, their hearts aligned, unity their strength. James parked the car, a careful stop, his hands steady, responsibility his focus. Diep stepped out, a slow movement, her heart heavy, reflection her state. They walked to the house, a familiar haven, their steps slow, comfort their goal. The ducklings chirped from the coop, a gentle sound, their presence soothing, joy their reward. Diep checked on them, a careful glance, her hands gentle, care her priority. They sat on the couch, a shared space, their shoulders touching, closeness their bond. James pulled Diep close, a tender embrace, his voice soft, reassurance his tone. "We'll get through this," he said, a firm promise, his eyes warm, love his strength. Diep nodded, a quiet agreement, her tears drying, gratitude her response. They held each other, a comforting moment. Their hearts aligned, connection their joy. James thought of the hospital report, a hidden burden, his mind racing, concern his weight. It revealed a family secret, a shocking truth, his lineage tied to Diep's, history their link. He kept it to himself, a cautious choice, his focus on Diep, protection his intent. Diep thought of the employee's mother, a heavy sorrow, her heart aching, empathy her warmth. They shared a quiet moment, a brief pause, their hands clasped, support their bond. A photo album sat on the table, a cherished keepsake, its pages worn, memories their treasure. Diep opened it, a tender gesture, her eyes bright, nostalgia her light. They flipped through the pages, a shared journey, their laughter soft, happiness their reward. The room glowed with warmth, a safe haven, their love enduring, unity their strength. They found a picture of their families, a surprising connection, history their bond. The ducklings chirped louder, a sudden sound, their energy high, life their spark. Diep smiled at the noise, a gentle distraction, her heart lifting, joy her feeling. James thought of the rival, a lingering threat, his mind alert, vigilance his trait. They planned to face the challenges, a united front, their resolve firm, love their anchor. The day ended softly, a peaceful close, their hearts aligned, partnership their joy. A neighbor knocked at the door, a sudden visit, his voice cheerful, friendliness his tone. Diep welcomed him, a polite gesture, her smile warm, hospitality her habit. He brought a small gift, a thoughtful act, his hands offering, kindness his intent. James thanked him, a warm reply, his tone grateful, appreciation his response. They shared a quick chat, a friendly exchange, their voices light, camaraderie their tie. Diep thought of the ducklings, a tender thought, her heart full, happiness her spark. The room buzzed with warmth, a cozy retreat, their bond deepening, love their guide. They sat back down, a shared moment, their hands clasped, unity their strength.
Uy tín trong cộng đồng, phong tục bảo vệ môi trường, người dân trên bản làng thường có ý thức bảo vệ môi trường, bảo vệ rừng, bảo vệ nguồn nước. Các phong tục trên bản làng đóng vai trò quan trọng trong việc tăng cường sự đoàn kết, thống nhất trong cộng đồng và bảo tồn phát huy văn hóa truyền thống địa phương, cải thiện chất lượng cuộc sống và tăng cường sự hạnh phúc của người dân, tạo ra sự ổn định và an ninh của cộng đồng. Lễ hội là một phần quan trọng của văn hóa và truyền thống Việt Nam. Mỗi tỉnh ở Việt Nam đều có những lễ hội riêng biệt, phản ánh lịch sử, văn hóa và tín ngưỡng của địa phương. Dưới đây là một số lễ hội nổi tiếng của các tỉnh ở Việt Nam Bắc Bộ, như lễ hội ở Chùa Hương, Hà Nội, một trong những lễ hội lớn và nổi tiếng nhất ở Việt Nam, thu hút hàng triệu du khách mỗi năm. Lễ hội Gióng Hà Nội, lễ hội này kỷ niệm chiến thắng của Thánh Gióng chống lại quân xâm lược. Lễ hội Đền Hùng, lễ hội này kỷ niệm các vua hùng, những người đã có công xây dựng đất nước.